We've been talking about the Murray-Darling Basin, the water inflows, and we've also seen a bumper crop this year for farmers, and there's been good rainfall in general terms as the La Niña effect goes across into New South Wales and Queensland. We've seen the drought end there, which is great news, but at the same time, the long-range forecasters are starting to look at the La Niña system, and while it's currently provided relief, there is always the question of how long it will remain in place. And the bumper crops, the second best on record, we're told, are at the moment the locomotive that's driving Australia's economy, as we've told you in previous episodes of this morning show. These figures are staggering, but according to the Weather Bureau, there could be some good news still to come this year for southeastern Australian listeners. And of course, this is something that the Bureau of Meteorology, with its predictors, they can't always get it right, and most of the time probably don't, but they're saying there'll be a wetter than average conditions in Australia's south. Now, in New South Wales and South Australia, you can expect above average rainfall. Most of this within the current month of March, the Bureau's senior climatologist has said. The good news is that we're going into the southern cropping season, and with this in mind, and at the same time, livestock prices for our growers in that part of the world, the fattening up of calves and lambs, and those prices are helping lift Australia's economy out of the COVID recession. Well, it's going to be interesting because with the water storages in the Murray-Darling Basin doubling their 2019 levels, the daytime temperatures projected to be lower in the autumn. That means less evaporation. And the other factor with the cooler temperatures, the lowest temperatures for a summer for at least 10 years. And so this has got implications politically. Legislators love it when they don't have the hot temperatures and power outages as we've had in previous hot summers. And those that are putting the climate change viewpoint forward have to take a look at both the lesser temperatures this year and the averages coming down, the United States being completely covered in ice and snow. And one wonders with policymakers and the direction that they have been going, whether or not they have taken us in the wrong direction, given what appears to be a return to some cooler conditions across the globe. This can play itself out in a natural way, but if politicians get it wrong, and most of the time they knee-jerk reaction for electoral votes, does mean that they make decisions, and I think a lot of decisions that have been taken in Australia regarding the climate. One looks now at the cooler conditions that obviously in the United States are making their agricultural growing period, their crop is really suffering as a result of the frosts that they've had and the snow that's covering many thousands of hectares of cropping land through Canada and the United States, will have an impact on world wheat prices. And for Australian growers, it's good news because that would mean that prices would go up because there is likely to be a lot less wheat being exported out of the United States. We'll follow that through too as a separate story, but it is, for mine, a pretty good time for Australia, but we wouldn't want our politicians to rest on their laurels given the cooler temperatures and the better growing seasons that we are having.